Tonight, after the long build-up, the Chancellor delivers her budget. More tax and the scrapping of the two-child benefit cap. We have analysis and reaction and what it means for people here.
Little things everywhere, all over it, rather than a big thing, obvious big thing. So this, yes, it's little things everywhere, but overall, you may end up paying quite a lot.
Also on tonight's programme.
Around 40 hard copy theatre logbooks, which would have contained information relating to Mr El Jamel's surgeries in the period 95 to 2013, were destroyed.
Revelations about NHS Tayside at the inquiry into the disgraced surgeon Sam El Jamel. The number of toddlers with speech and behavioural difficulties increased during COVID restrictions. That's according to a major new piece of research.
Coming up in tonight's sport, interim Celtic boss Martin O'Neill confirms a permanent appointment is imminent as he prepares to lead the team against Feyenoord tomorrow.
Hello, I'm Laura Miller. This is Reporting Scotland. So, after months of speculation and build-up, we finally have the Chancellor's tax and spending plans. In fact, we got them early, as the Office for Budget Responsibility, the financial watchdog, published its forecasts before Rachel Reeves even took to her feet. Commentators have described the error as mind-blowing and unprecedented. But to the details. As ever on days like today, there is a blizzard of numbers and pledges which will be picked through for the days to come. But here are some of the key headline points. You may end up paying more tax. The different rates of income tax are being frozen elsewhere in the UK. It means any kind of pay rise could drag people into a higher tax bracket. Now, these changes don't apply directly to Scotland, but the government here will now need to consider following suit or taking the financial hit when setting their budget. The amount of money that can be saved tax-free each year in a cash ISA will be reduced from £20,000 to £12,000 a year for the under 65s. Currently, parents can only claim universal credit or tax credits for their first two children, the so-called two-child benefit cap. Well, that is being scrapped from April next year. Now, the Scottish Government had already said it was going to mitigate the effects here, so we will need to wait and see what they do with that money now. But the UK Government says 95,000 children in Scotland will benefit. For the North East, all eyes were on whether the Chancellor would scrap the windfall tax on oil and gas companies in the North Sea, which they argue is crippling the sector. Well, much to the dismay of the industry, it is staying in place, it seems. Now, we're going to be getting reaction to and analysing all of these lines and more tonight. But let's begin with our political editor, Glenn Campbell.
There was nothing smooth about the release of this budget. Instead, a huge flap about its publication in advance by the independent financial watchdog, including details of tax rises and some help to those from London to Linlithgow who are struggling with the cost of living.
I keep a tight rein on the energy, electricity, very tight with that.
I think things are really, really hard for people who are poor. The rich and the poor are getting further and further apart.
I call the Chancellor of this shatter.
Yeah. Rachel Reeves promised to reduce household energy bills by removing surcharges.
We are keeping our promise to get energy bills down and cut the cost of living. With £150 cut from the average household bill from April next year.
And for larger, low-income families, greater access to some benefits.
I can announce today, fully costed and fully funded, the removal of the two-child limit in full from April.
These changes are to be paid for by drawing more people into personal taxation, a strategy the Conservatives oppose.
Labour are hiking taxes to pay for welfare. This is a budget for Benefit Street, Madam Deputy Speaker, paid for by working people.
In other changes, the duty on petrol and diesel will start to rise from later next year. There's to be a new pay-per-mile charge for electric vehicles, and taxes on some forms of gambling will go up. The Scottish Government's grant from the UK Treasury is to rise by £820 million. But SNP ministers are not fully satisfied.
It is £820 million over the 5 years, but to put that in context, we have almost £2 billion of increase of employers' national insurance contributions for the public sector.
Oil and gas firms are to be allowed some new drilling next to existing fields, but the Energy Profits Levy will stay in place until 2030.
The oil and gas industry had suggested a way of reforming the windfall tax that would have boosted investment, and they didn't get it.
But this is an industry that makes investments that last over decades. We wanted to give the industry certainty. That's what Rachel Reeves has done today.
£14 million has been earmarked for Grangemouth, where the oil refinery's closing. Another well-trailed budget choice from an under-pressure Chancellor. Glenn Campbell reporting Scotland.
So the budget is a huge day politically, but for most people, it's just about whether they're going to be better or worse off. Our correspondent David Henderson has been speaking to some people in East Kilbride and South Lanarkshire about what the budget might mean for them.
It's a new town with the same old challenges as the rest of the country. And with Christmas round the corner, many here in East Kilbride were hoping this budget could give some help.
Cost of living and wages, stop price rises in supermarkets and different things because the prices doubled.
Pension needs everything. Go and see a doctor. Go and see a hospital appointment, can't get nothing. And that's it. And they're cutting everything there, heating bills and everything. And you can go on, can't you?
When it comes to cuts, Mariana's Catering's the place to go. She and her team are getting food ready for business events and nursery meals. Her big concern, soaring costs.
So the biggest pressure for my business is cost of food. That's rocketed up to 50%. Then staff cost, increasing in minimum wage is really big for me. And obviously increasing energy is a big one.
So what can the Chancellor cook up?
Not to maybe putting the prices up and the taxes up, and not putting the VAT up, not putting any of that up, because the moment that is going up, that affects absolutely everything in a business.
While that budget was being delivered this lunchtime, shoppers here were out in force. The impact of this budget is already being felt here. Some have worked out that they're ahead and some that they're losing out. For Elise Graham, her minimum wage will rise by 50 pence an hour.
I suppose you gain more income over time, but if your taxes are going up at the same time, then it's not really matching that, is it?
It's scary to think that, the tax is just going to go up. Especially for small businesses that work really, really hard to try and earn a bit of money and make a living for their families.
Across town at Calder Glen Zoo, the meerkats got a visit from Becca Johnson and her young son. She won't gain from the scrapping of the two-child benefit cap, and she's more concerned by talk of other possible changes to the welfare system.
I think that single parents need a wee bit more help than what they're actually getting. I rely a lot on universal credit, and I know that I really shouldn't, but that's one of my main benefits that come in. That's what I use for my food shop, it's what I use for my gas, my electricity, my bills, and even though that I'm working part-time, most people don't get a lot of money to actually go out and spend on themselves.
No. You're going to pay more? Back at Mariana's Catering, and she fears she'll be caught by stealth taxes, which this budget seems to contain.
A little things everywhere, all over it, rather than a big thing, obvious big thing. So this, yes, it's little things everywhere, but overall, you may end up paying quite a lot.
So as the dust settles on budget day, households here will be asking themselves if it means gain or pain. For now, a clear answer may be hard to get. David Henderson reporting Scotland, East Kilbride.
OK, let's get some analysis on this now. Our political editor Glenn Campbell is at Westminster. Our energy and environment correspondent Kevin Keane is at Aberdeen Harbour for us. And our business and economy editor Douglas Fraser is standing by in the studio with me. Kevin, I want to come to you first. One sector that has been keenly awaiting the budget is the oil and gas industry. They had been hoping for that reduction in the windfall tax. In the end, Rachel Reeves never even mentioned it. What has the reaction been there?
Well, there is huge disappointment and anger tonight that those calls for that windfall tax to be either phased out early or scrapped altogether have fallen on deaf ears. The oil and gas sector and the wider business community here say it has been crippling the city. Investment is at an all-time low, and one study suggests that up to 1,000 jobs a month are being lost as a consequence. Now, this windfall tax was introduced after the Russian invasion of Ukraine, when, of course, the price of oil spiked quite significantly to $120, $130 a barrel. Since then, it has halved and is around $60 now, much more like it used to be. And yet that tax remains in place. The industry says there is no windfall for them to tax, and yet they are handing over 78% of their profits to the Treasury, which they say is unsustainable. Now, what has been offered today is a mechanism by which small pockets of oil and gas from unlicensed areas that are adjacent to and connected to existing oil fields can be exploited. But with the windfall tax still in place, the sector says that that's nothing more than tinkering at the edges. It will do nothing for the sustainability of the industry or for the future shape of this city.
OK, Kevin, thanks. To you now, Glenn. This was billed as a defining budget for the UK Labour government, but it also now defines the landscape in the run-up to the Holyrood elections next year.
Yeah, it will probably take individuals a while to work out whether they're up or down overall when these changes are taken into account. But I think this is a budget that will give Scottish Labour, who need all the election help they can get from their UK colleagues, something to sell to some voters. The help with reducing energy bills and for those who will benefit from the end of the two-child cap, there's that as well. Interestingly, these are changes that the Scottish Government had also called for in advance of this budget, albeit that tonight they're saying the changes announced don't go far enough. Because the Scottish Government was going to end the two-child cap anyway, the decision of the UK Government to do that means it frees up money for the Scottish Government to spend on other ways in trying to reduce child poverty, and that's something they can take into the election. When it comes to the UK decision on freezing thresholds for income tax at certain earnings points, where those thresholds are devolved to the Scottish Government, they've now got an opportunity or a challenge, depending on how they see it, whether to take the hit that will cause to their finances, or whether to replicate these changes and to reclaim that cash by doing so.
OK, Glenn in Westminster, thank you. And to you too, Kevin in Aberdeen, thank you. Douglas, let's just break this down a little bit. Lots of announcements, lots of pledges, but at the end of the day, people only really want to know if they're going to be better off. So who will be and who won't be?
Well, if we take the country together, British households continue to see living standards fall over the rest of this decade. If you listen, for instance, to the Joseph Rowntree Foundation, its economic analysis says that the budget today does not turn that around, but it does skew things a bit in favour of lower income households. If you're in mid to higher earnings, there are tax hits from national insurance, possibly, depending on what Holyrood does on income tax, from some pension contributions, from savings and investments incomes, if you've got an electric car, if you've got an online gambling habit, and if you like sugary milkshakes. There was some relief for lower income households with the end of the two-child benefits cap, higher universal credits above inflation, that £150 off the typical household fuel bill, a rise in the minimum wage, notably for young people. But to turn around the decline in household living standards, we need to see increased economic growth, improved productivity from the workforce. There were some measures to help business achieve that, but it's quite hard to make a higher pay bill for companies lead to more growth in what they're doing. And where oil and gas production continues to see that high tax take, that does not look like the kind of growth that Labour is prioritising. So it will have to explain that when this budget makes contact with the electorate next May.
Well, lots more still to pour over, Douglas. I think you might have some bedtime reading tonight anyway. Thank you. To the rest of the day's news now. And 40 theatre logbooks potentially relating to the disgraced surgeon Sam El-Jamel were destroyed by NHS Tayside this summer, despite an order not to do so. This emerged at the public inquiry into Mr El-Jamel, where the Health Board said it deeply regretted the error. Following his suspension, El-Jamel resigned in 2014 and is now believed to be operating in Libya. Well, for more on this, let's speak to our reporter Louise Cowie, who's outside Nine Wells Hospital in Dundee, where Mr El-Jamel worked. Louise, what did we hear today then?
Well, firstly, Laura, we heard from Joanna Cherry KC, who represents the patients group. There are 138 former patients of Sam El-Jamel who are taking part in this inquiry. Mr El-Jamel worked here at Nine Wells Hospital in Dundee, as you say, where he was head of neurosurgery until 2013 when he was suspended. And during his career, he harmed dozens of patients. And today, the human cost of his actions was laid bare. We heard of some former patients who've been left paralysed, some who've been left blinded, some who've lost their relationships, their homes, their marriages. Some, we heard, have even experienced suicidal thoughts. Now, one patient was told by a nurse that they'd witnessed Mr El-Jamel come to blows with a colleague who'd challenged him. We heard about a report which said that El-Jamel had 3.5 times as many complaints in the space of 2 years as the average number of complaints made in a whole professional lifetime of an average surgeon. Ms Cherry KC also said that they were appalled to discover that around 40 copy theatre logbooks, which would have contained information relating to Mr El-Jamel's surgeries, were destroyed by NHS employees in July.
You, sir, of course, issued formal do not destroy notices on the 11th of October 2024. We fail to see how this wanton destruction of vital evidence could have happened if NHS Tayside had put proper systems in place to comply with that do not destroy notice. It seems to us that the only explanation for what has occurred must be gross negligence or indeed possible malice.
Louise, what did NHS Tayside say in response to that?
Well, we heard from their KC, Una Docherty. She said that NHS Tayside is very sorry for events that happened and fully acknowledged that it actually exacerbated the situation in the way it dealt with complaints and concerns. It failed to react appropriately and at a decent pace when concerns were raised. It had let patients down. She went on to say it understands confidence and trust has been eroded because of the actions of Sam El-Jamel and its own failures to ensure a system of oversight. Now, the issue of the destroyed documents was also addressed, and the hearing was told that an internal investigation has been carried out.
NHS Tayside has ascertained that much of the information normally contained within the destroyed logbooks should be contained in patient records if those still exist. It is hoped that much of the information will still be available to the inquiry, albeit in a different format. NHS Tayside deeply regrets this error and is committed to ensuring that it does not happen again.
And we also heard today that there will be a delay to evidential hearings. They were due to start in February, but now won't start until April. Former patients won't give evidence until September, and that will mark 3 years since it was first announced that this public inquiry would take place.
Louise in Dundee, thank you. A millionaire Highland lodge owner has been arrested and charged with rape, abduction and voyeurism. Kevin Booth appeared at Wick Sheriff Court earlier today. The 65-year-old faces 21 charges, including of multiple rapes as well as assault to injury and child abuse. He was remanded in custody and is due to appear in court again within 8 days. Now, the COVID pandemic affected us all, of course, but now research bears out the extent of its impact on young children. Lockdowns may have delayed childhood development, with more toddlers showing speech, behavioural and physical difficulties. University of Edinburgh researchers analysed records of more than 250 Scottish children under 2.5. Health visitor assessments revealed rising issues with language, movement and emotional growth. Maura Kinneborough reports.
Hello, children. Hello, children.
Toddler groups are a chance to learn through play. They're widely considered important for early years development.
Seeing children standing up, walking around, singing, he really takes that in, and coming here I think I've seen a big development in him.
Reading, even just seeing books is like really important for him.
He's learnt lots of actions and words and things.
I think it's very important, communication, seeing other children.
250,000 toddlers' records in Scotland were examined, the largest such study in Europe. Looking at health visitor assessments, scientists concluded restrictions and lockdowns in the COVID pandemic may have delayed development.
What we found was that following the introduction of the March 2020 lockdown and social distancing measures, there was a significant gradual increase in the proportion of children who had developmental concerns, and that remained higher than pre-pandemic levels even after the lockdown and social distancing measures were removed in August 2021.
Many children have caught up, but experts argue there's a need to target additional support.
Children are likely to continue to make progress and catch up. However, where there are additional support needs and underlying concerns, say for example speech and language concerns, it may be those children continue to need support in the longer term.
This father's experience echoes the study's findings.
Our older child is probably a bit more closed in terms of engaging with other folks. He stays closer to those that he knows, whereas she grew up, I would say, mostly after the pandemic, and she's extremely social, loves to know everybody's name, goes up to folks. It's kind of a stark contrast, and I don't know if I can pin it on the pandemic, but we've certainly noticed that.
The Scottish Government said it remains committed to ensuring every child has the best start. Maura Kinneborough, reporting Scotland, Edinburgh.
And now Sheila has the sport. Hello.
Thanks, Laura. Hello there. Martin O'Neill has confirmed that Celtic's appointment of a new permanent manager is imminent, with the interim boss preparing for what he says will be his last European game at the club. O'Neill oversaw training in Glasgow this morning before his team flew to Rotterdam for tomorrow's Europa League clash against Feyenoord. Celtic are close to securing a deal for Columbus crew coach Wilfried Nonsi, but O'Neill will be in the dugout in the Netherlands and he's desperate to return home with 3 points to boost their chances of advancing to the next stage.
Sometimes I think you would like, if it's going to be your last game, which it will be, then you would like it to maybe to be at Celtic Park, but it's away here, and again, it's nice to be involved in European football. But I think that talking about how difficult the game was in Michelin, we've got work to do, and I think we know that as a team and as a club.
Well, Rangers are also in Europa League action tomorrow. They've lost all 4 of their games so far and will be hoping to pick up their first points of the campaign at home to Braga. But head coach Danny Röhl's pre-match media conference was dominated by questions about sacked executives Patrick Stewart and Kevin Thelwell. Röhl was hired just last month by the outgoing chief executive and sporting director, but the pair were dismissed on Monday. It leaves question marks about Rangers' plans for the January transfer window, but the German is confident the club's future is in safe hands.
I can tell you it's always not nice. I was 2 times assistant coach and the head coach was sacked. You feel always with them. This is what it is. You are always part of the team. I can just also say, Kevin, Patrick, was a good relationship. We had always good conversations to each other. We were honest to each other. But it's football. Football is never about past. It's always about future. And this is what we have to also understand. We have to move forward and we have to take the situation like it is.
Well, Aberdeen make up the trio of Scottish clubs resuming their European campaigns tomorrow. They're in the Conference League and the Pittodrie side need to get motoring if they're to reach the knockout phase. After a dismal start to the season, the Dons' form has picked up and they posted a creditable away draw to Larnaca in their last conference outing. That was their first point in the group stage, and manager Jimmy Tillene thinks they need to beat Armenian side Noah at Pataudry to have any chance of progressing in the competition.
Yeah, I think so. If you see the table and the games we have left, and to give us an opportunity to go through, we have to win tomorrow. That's clear. It's still going to be a difficult game. Noah is a good team. They have a good manager. They have 4 points and did some good results. So it's a difficult team to play, but for us tomorrow to give us the chance and opportunity to get through, we have to win tomorrow at home.
Yeah, a busy night ahead tomorrow, Laura.
Indeed, thank you, Sheila. Christine has the weather. Where are we?
Well, we started like this today, Laura, but it didn't last, of course. Thank you. Good evening to you. Yes, we had some lovely sunshine across some parts this morning, but then the rain arrived and there is more in the forecast tonight and tomorrow. It'll be heavy and persistent across western areas, especially pushing its way southwards and eastwards as we go through the course of the night, with freshening southwesterly winds. But with that wind direction, a much milder night in prospect compared with the one just gone. Into tomorrow morning, we're looking at temperatures rising into double digits. But it is quite a cloudy prospect tomorrow, and there will be some outbreaks of rain initially, rather misty, murky conditions. And then this cold front moves in through the Western Isles and will make steady progress eastwards as we go through the course of the afternoon. So quite a cloudy afternoon for the Northern Isles and really across much of eastern and central Scotland with some outbreaks of rain, but it'll tend to push through fairly quickly, albeit fairly heavy at times. Very mild, 10 to 14 Celsius, and an improving picture in the northwest, bright or sunny spells and some showers around, but the wind's increasing across the board, a sign of things to come into tomorrow night and into Friday, especially across the northwest and the Northern Isles, where we have a Met Office yellow warning in place until 11 o'clock on Friday morning. Gusts of around 60 to 70 miles per hour, perhaps even in excess of 75 for some exposed parts of the Western Isles. Plenty of showers as we head into Friday too, merging to give longer spells of rain at times. And then the strongest winds transferring into the Northern Isles as we head through Friday morning. The wind will gradually ease during the afternoon, but these showers continuing, perhaps with the odd rumble of thunder and hail in the mix at times. So looking ahead through Friday night into Saturday, and that area of low pressure responsible for the very unsettled conditions begins to pull away. So we're looking at something a little quieter as we head into Saturday. A dry start, some brightness and sunshine for many of us during the day. Just a scattering of showers in the southwest, but turning colder again with a north or northwesterly wind. Back to you, Laura.
OK, thank you, Christine. And that is Reporting Scotland for now. Hala Mohadeen will be here with your late news around 10:30 tonight. Join her then if you can. In the meantime, from everyone on the late team, enjoy your evening. Good night.